You mentioned, we're talking about partnerships now, so maybe that's a good segue into your co-production of Copperhead at King's Landing, which of course, as most of you know, is just outside Fredericton here, and it's a historical settlement, which I think worked well for your movie. So I guess I'm wondering, what was involved in choosing New Brunswick as a location for your film?
Our producer-director, Ron Maxwell, had been to King's Landing some years ago. He was looking around for possibly a place to shoot his last film, Gods and Generals. And he was very impressed by King's Landing, and also by the quality of the skies and everything up here. It just was everything. He just was, I remember I saw him just after that scout back, 12 years ago, whatever it was, and he was just bubbling about King's Landing and not sure how we could maybe incorporate it or not. And then, some years went by. And then Ron called me up and he said he had this thing, Copperhead, and I've known Ron, 23 years now or something. And he was initially slated to shoot, to direct one of my father's properties called Eagle Song, and that hasn't actually happened yet. But in any case, we stayed friends and all that. And in this industry, I think you all know, that's the big thing. Everything is kind of person to person. That's how these things happen. So I just get a call out of the blue from Ron saying, "Hey, got this thing, Copperhead. Do you think we could film it in Canada?" And what do you think my answer was? Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, we can do it in Canada. Definitely. Where else would you want to film it? So he said, "Great." Well, he said, "We'll find a place to film it." He said one of the places was King's Landing, and I have to make a personal admission here. It would have been so much easier if this whole thing could have been done entirely in Nova Scotia. There, I got to get that off my chest. This thing of creating a sort of a hybrid interjurisdictional financing model and so forth, it was a challenge. It turns out I'm really glad we did it in every which way, but at the time I was just thinking, God, we could shoot this at Sherbrooke Village, maybe we could shoot it at Shelburne or something. We scouted all those places. I insisted on having them included. It wouldn't have made sense not to do that kind of diligence. At each stage, Ron said, King's Landing is the best place to do it. Now, I had been to King's Landing, just scouting it for another film, and I really, really liked it there as well. And so at a certain point, I just thought, okay, let's really pay attention to how would that work. And Ron came through and he met with the previous director there, Alain Boisvert, who invited him warmly, said, you really should come, and this place would work great for you and all that. And two things happened after that threw all our best laid plans into disarray. And one of them was that suddenly Alain Boisvert left. He moved on, and that always leaves you with a question. You think, well, that's great, all of those wonderful conversations, and perhaps, as you try to pick up the conversation, maybe the person you're talking with is maybe not so very interested, or who knows what. That's one. And around, there was also a period of time, as you all know as well or better than I do, that the film tax credit got canceled there for a while before it got resurrected in any form. And so it was very interesting, the conversations I was having, trying to report back to the States to say, well, gosh, everything's kind of, I don't know what we're going to do or how we're going to do it, and just hold on. There are positive indications, and we'll see. And so some time went by. And then when the film, we couldn't have come here without the tax credit, without filming New Brunswick. I mean, couldn't do it. It couldn't justify it. There's no model. You have to lay these things all out in scenarios, and there's no way that the numbers could have worked for us. So then when we got the announcement that Film New Brunswick was resurrecting under a new and different plan, I was on the phone with Ghislain Labbé not very long after that to have him walk us through how this would really work, and we started to understand that. At the same time, we continued on the strength of that, we continued our conversations with King's Landing, as it turned out, with Kevin Cormier, who's sitting here with us today, and found out that Kevin's an amazing human being, and that he got it about as much as anyone can get anything. He was in fact kind of ahead of us. And so as we started to really think about this, we thought all we would have to really do is make the time to sit down together and to work out all the details. And that's what we did, just patiently and not at the last minute. We worked out how could this all really work. It's complicated to have a film company come and sort of take over an historic site, and there's a lot involved with it. But anyways, that was a challenge, and we were so lucky to be able to do this here in New Brunswick and to be able to do it at King's Landing. I don't think the picture would be half of what it is without that. So that's what you really had here. To get us in the door, to bring us here, you had a location which we could not match. You can't touch King's Landing. For what we were trying to do, it is the best, hands down. So here we were. Now, we would, as a little production group, we would very much like to come back here, not because of necessarily the hook of a specific location, although locations are important, but what's great is we got a chance to meet and work with the people here, and the folks are amazing. So it's a wonderful working environment that we would like to repeat, but without having had the film New Brunswick, and without having had King's Landing and so forth, like we wouldn't be here in the first place. So I guess you have a hook really to bring people here, but then they have to have a wonderful experience if they're going to come back.